I have the pleasure to invite Antti Ruuska of Ylva with me on stage. Antti is the Chief Sustainability Officer, leading Ylva's real estate, restaurant and investment businesses towards zero carbon future by 2025. Welcome, Antti.
Thank you, Anne.
Very
happy
nice to have you here.
Super happy to be here.
You have very extensive background in circular economy, and I'd be really interested in learning that. Could you describe us your epiphany when it comes to circular economy? What was the moment of realization?
Yeah, I had maybe 5 minutes before this to think about it, and maybe it's my grandmother who used to say always when I was a small kid at the table. She served us food, and she always said, "You have to finish your meal." Like, okay, this is some grandmother stuff, but year after year, same thing. Like, you have to finish it all. And then I only realized it maybe high school or something, like when I was, I had some leftovers on my plate. I was dishing it to the trash. I was like, whoa, what did grandma say? Like, you have to finish your meal. Then I kind of realized like all the work, labor, time, effort that had went into the plate, like growing up those animals that were then later on turned into the gravy and all those potatoes and all the time, effort, energy, and just putting it to dish after it has been on my plate for say 10 minutes, complete waste. Maybe that's like one moment in my life, like and that applies to basically so many things, like plastic cups you drink, you just drop it, dispose it, plastic, absolutely, cutlery, whatever, and maybe that's my moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Super happy to be here. This is the hybrid time, so I don't have you in the audience, but maybe this is even more special because you are taking me to your homes, your kitchens, your living rooms or bedrooms or offices, and maybe even some of your family gets to share this moment, or your dog or pet rabbit, whatever you might have. But super happy to have you online, and super happy to be here. So, I'm Antti. I'm claiming that traditional business is dead, and so is design. And if you take a look at the picture, there's a dead building in the photo. It's actually one of ours. It's on the bottom right side. It's being demolished after the lifetime of it. But let's get back to it later on. So I have a background in science and research, so I like to define terms like what does the traditional mean? It's very simple. Because at the moment, companies are kind of struggling with their purpose. Like, what should we do? Should we care about the customer? Should we care about the planet or some other stakeholders? What's the focus? What's the most important thing? There's nothing new in this struggle. It was actually solved in the 1970s by Milton Friedman with his New York Times article, where he simply stated, like, the purpose of business is to make money for the stakeholders. And it was not like a perfect idea, but it caught up, and it became the standard over years because it was simple. It simplified businesses' thinking. Like, okay, as long as we make money to our shareholders, we're good. And of course, it bred into some structural things that are still present at the present day. Like, if we try and make as much money for the owners as we can, then the high directors, they should have a lot of stock options or shares, and they should make a lot of money when the company makes money, because that helps to make money for the owners, right? But at the same time, you can forget a lot of things when you simplify this much. And Wall Street later on then still took this further to the border of illegal in many ways, but preferably this quarter. So make money this quarter. Right, that's all. Right, so what does this mean? The customer is an object who buys products, as many as possible, as often as possible, with as high a price as possible. That's the role of customer, right? You sell a lot of stuff to customers. They are not customers, they are not people, they are just revenue stream for your company. And I have the disclaimer on the bottom corner of the slide so that no one thinks this is what I actually think at the moment. This is just reflecting on the traditional way. How do you make those products? Well, you use cheap raw materials, the cheapest you can find, because money is the only driver. You use the cheapest labor. You mean you pay as little as you can. You give your employees as little as you need, as the law requires. And as cheap energy as you can find, just use it. Oil, gas, no matter what is the cheapest, use that. How about waste and pollution? Well, in this mindset, it's the company's even obligation to leave it to someone else. It's the government's problem. It's the legislators' problem. And their role is to take care of waste, pollution, regulate companies. But companies' role is only to fight it. Let waste and pollution be someone else's problem. So this is kind of the traditional mindset. It's pretty extreme, only about money, and protect your right to make money. That's kind of the key principle. And make more money next quarter, and then repeat. More money next quarter, repeat. Meaning you should produce more and more all the time. You should sell more. You should consume more energy, more resources. You should produce more waste and more pollution. Because, yeah, that's the way. And repeat it. Luckily, design, I forgot. It's about design. So what's the role of design? It's pretty simple in this model. It's only to support the business. So keep it rolling, keep the profits coming, keep the money flowing, right? As much money as you can. Yeah, but luckily, the rules of business, they have been somewhat redefined, and it took only 40 years. So statement on the purpose of a corporation by BRT Business Roundtable was made in 2019. It's not like business as usual, like all over the planet. Many companies still operate with the traditional model, but actually look at the slide, you should deliver value to your customers, you should invest in employees, you should deal fairly and ethically with suppliers, you should support communities in which they work, or you work as a company, you should generate long-term value for shareholders, not only like short-term, this quarter profits. And you cannot ignore the planet either anymore. So this took only like 40 years to realize, this is the way to do it. But actually, these were ideas that were present also in the 70s, but they were ditched and forgotten for 40 years. That's my take on this issue. But if I think about it, if we think about it as a business, that's not enough. So there's been so many mistakes done. Climate change, it's reality. Resource consumption, we are overshooting our targets every year more and more. Biodiversity loss, it's reality. And also income inequalities are getting worse. So trying to be less bad is not enough. We cut our emissions by this, or we pollute a bit less. But we need to start solving the problems, and fast, meaning the big global problems. This brings us to the company that I work for. I'm not saying we are perfect, but we are trying to do the right thing at Ylva. We are a funny business. We are owned by 26,000 Helsinki University students. So they are the ones who are on climate strikes, and they are the ones who want to fight climate change. So as their own business, we want to show the way for business. We want to have that same courage that our owners show, and we want to show that in our business. We have been in Helsinki city center for 150 years, for example, in the real estate business, which I will be talking about mostly in the latter part of this presentation. And we are planning to be there for the next 150 years. So that's kind of our lifespan. We are not thinking like next year, next quarter. Of course, we are a bit, but like next century. What's the future of Helsinki? What's the future of cities? That's kind of our mindset. Let's see, I was hoping to get the next slide. If someone can help me, thank you. So, we are trying to build the world's most sustainable buildings, and well, build is maybe not the right word, but we are trying to make the most sustainable and maintain them, own the most sustainable buildings in the world. This is the same photo as on the same slide. It's from Hakaniemi, Helsinki. There's an old Helsinki city office building that was unrepairable, and we won a competition for that plot, and now we are developing a new project there. But anyways, that's the backstory of this photo. But what we are doing at Ylva, so we believe that we should be solving the big problems, and we have identified 5 of the biggest sustainable development goals that are most relevant for our businesses, which is real estate and restaurants, that we are trying to solve through our actions. And if Ylva, we are pretty small and Helsinki-based. If we are solving the problems of our business, we know that that won't save the planet. So that's why we want to be a change maker within the industries and sectors, and also inspire others to change and change the whole principles, basically, of the industries. So what do we have here as a real estate owner? So basically, we know that there's not enough clean energy in the world. 90% of world's energy is still fossil-based. So we need more clean energy in the system. We don't have it enough. No matter how much or how energy efficient we make our buildings, we don't have enough clean energy. So we need to focus on that, through our own actions, be it then purchase of clean energy or maybe even investments in clean energy. For second, and this is very important for circular economy, so we believe in decoupling. So we need to decouple the use of resources from the economic growth. We really believe that it can be done. But this sustainability goal also includes the inclusion, so fair treatment of our employees, of everybody on the society. So everybody should be treated equally. Number 11, so cities. We are in Helsinki. Our owners are an important part of the city and its activities. We believe that we have a role in making the future of Helsinki. We have a role in making that interesting place that's vibrant and good for businesses too. So we have an important role to play. As for number 12, we are in real estate business, and it consumes half of world's resources. So it's pretty much obvious that we need to do something there. We need to find ways in our projects where we can push the industry, push our projects towards circularity. And last but definitely not least, climate action. We have committed to operate on a zero carbon level by 2025, which means we have a lot of work to do. So how to turn real estate business and restaurant business into carbon neutral by 2025. So that's a challenge we are working with. I have a few examples here, not too many, but still showing like we are actually doing something in addition to slides, or at least my colleagues are doing. Principle number 1, I have a few principles from the side of the sector. So buildings have a long time span. We need to take care of buildings that we already have. That's the most important thing. Buildings rarely get demolished at the end of their technical lifespans, and it's typically something else that's the reason behind demolition. It's not like the load-bearing structures are not load-bearing anymore, but it's something else. So solving those is crucial. Old buildings need to be respected and given new life with appropriate renovations and repurposing whenever possible, and demolition should be the very last option. And in here we have a newspaper article from Finnish newspaper, and it says new life. So it's a good example of our thinking. So we are giving a new life to not only 1, but 3 historical buildings by developing a new state-of-the-art hotel in the heart of Helsinki. Then what? This is the building again that was deemed dead, non-viable anymore. So what do we need to do there? That was indoor air quality problems, massive problems, mold, stuff like that. Inflexible spaces, old kind of office cubicles with massive walls. Not really anything that you could turn into something usable nowadays. So, and actually it was told that you need to demolish that if you buy the plot. Anyways, every building, you need to respect those resources that are there. You need to try and recycle, reuse as many of those as you can. Maintain the value to the highest level as you can. And in our case, standard in Finland is that something like 50% of the building's materials are reused after life cycle of the building. We didn't know what we could achieve. We tried to achieve as high level as possible, and we achieved 97%, which is nice and very good figure. But what's even better, this is the contractor that gave us the best deal also financially. So our thinking is like the company who took best care of the waste could do it most efficiently, got the best price for us, and planet wins, we win, they win the project. So it's good business. If we build new, we need to aim for circularity. So in design, you should consider like, load-bearing structures, they are there for 100 years or 200 years, but interiors, they may change when the tenant changes. So make sure that there's no conflicting lifespans, so that you need to demolish something that's load-bearing and could be there for 100 years in order to replace something that the tenant wants to be replaced. So really thinking different lifespans of a building, that's very important. And even nowadays, the world is not circular and we are only going there, but there's still good ways to try and get, say, recycled or concrete with recycled components, like for example, concrete with some of the cement has been replaced with some other industrial side streams. So that kind of a small circularity examples already exist. We are not in fully circular world, but those examples can take us there. And there's a small circularity project from Kaivopiha Helsinki. So Richard Hogan and Stefan Oshner they were excited about the project, and they came to us could we do a study of the facade? How about if we deconstructed it instead of demolishing it? And we were yeah, go ahead. And now 2 years later, they did very thorough work and analyzed all the glass type sizes of the panels, so on. And after 2 years, it looks like we may be able to use some of the glass in the new hotel project. So small thing, a lot of work, but super excited about the example that we might be able to show here. How about energy when buildings are in use? We need to stop wasting energy during use and move towards renewables. Energy is becoming clean, but not free of charge. It's not going to be free, even though it's emission-free. So it makes business sense to save, conserve energy, even in the days of clean energy that are still to come. Investments into new renewable energy are needed to enable transition towards fossil-free energy, and also on the building side, we need smarter energy management and energy savings in order to actually fit the future energy system that will be smarter than today's system. And as told, we have committed to zero carbon operations by 2025. So, to conclude, future business will thrive by solving the biggest problems of our time. I think that's one of the themes for today. And we also have very nice company examples after my talk later on from different areas. And I truly believe that design and design thinking can make it happen. And I have to tell a small story, so thank you, Design Forum Finland, for inviting me here. And we had the pleasure to work with you and also with Ethika on this eco-design sprint project. And we really sat down with our business people and circularity experts and design experts and thought what would be the circular business model for our company? How could we serve our customers in a better way, help them transform their business into a circular way? And that was a very, very nice experience, and we learned a lot. I would be lying if I told we already have some great examples after the sprint, but we haven't forgotten that. Due to the COVID and so on, some development projects are postponed, but we have it there. It's in the back of our minds. We will return to the results of this sprint, and we will make our business more circular in the future for us and for the customers, because it's good business. Thank you. I'm Antti Ruuska from Ylva. If you have anything, you can contact me, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
Super interesting. A couple of questions.
Please.
You talked about at the beginning of your presentation that it's someone else's problem, it's someone else's business. And it made me thinking that we've built quite a siloed society.
Yes.
And way of doing business. And now the kind of more circular economy thinking and also circular design propels us to do is to actually kind of take responsibility and, for example, retaining the ownership of materials. How do you encourage or would encourage companies to kind of move towards that direction? Because even the word responsibility, it's not very fancy in terms of kind of business thinking.
No, it's not. It's usually a cost. But basically, if you return to my example of the plate of food, if you're in restaurant business and you end up with a lot of food waste after day in and like every day, food waste goes into bin. Food waste goes into bin. That's like how was it? That's definition of lunacy, or how was it by Einstein? But anyways, like if you're in that kind of situation, you should stop and think: does it need to be like this? I'm wasting precious materials. I'm also paying waste fees for it.
Absolutely.
Could I invite some other company to discuss this? Like, do a small internet browsing. Is someone offering some kind of solutions for food waste? Could I sell those portions? There's companies for that. Is there someone who could take that waste and turn it into something else? And usually that's not an extra cost for you, but it's a cost saving for you. So you have the ability to make the planet a bit better place and save money at the same time. So start small, invite someone from outside to your table and discuss. Open discussion. Just open up a bit your business, your problems, and usually you will find solutions through collaboration and discussion.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Also, you mentioned that Ylva plans to be there for the next 150 years, at least.
At least.
I'd be really intrigued to learn more about those internal discussions. That how did you manage to set yourselves such a time span? Because it's sometimes think that even kind of doing foresight work, if it's more than 5 years, it seems to be quite sort of a long time frame for most companies.
Yeah, and to be honest, like if we have a board meeting or something, we are not only like spending most of the time thinking Helsinki in, like 150 years after, but we are mostly focused on the present day. But it's basically the whole history, like, oh wow, like realizing like we have been here for 150 years. Whole the city was different around our buildings 150 years ago. There were no cars, no public transportation, no electricity, no nothing. When the building was there already, it's still there. Yeah. Old University House. And then like, oh, what will it be like in the next 150 years? Have we inhabited Mars and other stuff? Like what the planet is like, no one has any idea. But that's pretty inspiring to think like we have done it. We have survived and thrived for 150 years, and we will do it for the next one as well. And we have no idea how the planet will be. It will be very different, but it's very inspiring. Like anything can happen with that time span. So that also gives us hope. Like we have climate crisis, we have a lot of crises, but we will survive. Planet will survive. Humanity will survive. We don't know what the solutions are, but we believe that they are there. So that gives us hope, most importantly, and direction.
Hope we definitely need.
Yeah, that's what we need.
One last very quick question.
Please.
You plan to go zero carbon by 2025.
Yes.
Beyond 2025, does it mean that you can just rest on your laurels? The work is done?
No, it doesn't. For example, it would be pretty easy if we just purchased green electricity and green heating without changing anything else, or we just compensated our emissions, right? Carbon neutral. check. But we want to fix the problems behind there. So we really need to think our real estate portfolio, like how can we dramatically drop the energy consumption? How can we make it the smartest buildings on the planet, basically? And how can we make it better for the people inside? So really, how can we be part of fixing the problems as opposed to just buying the easy solution? So we don't believe, we believe it's only a small step, important step on a very long way.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, Antti.
Thank you.